Welcome to Live from the Garden. I'm Karina, creator of the Let Us Live Edible Garden movement. Together we will tour backyard, farms, rooftops, and other inviting spaces, all with the hopes of inspiring you to get out and get growing. How are you doing, brother? So good to see you. Thank you for joining us. If you could, tell us where you're located and then tell us where we can find you on your social media platforms.
Sure. So James Gardner, I am live here from Greensboro, North Carolina, the greatest city this side of 95. But Greensboro, North Carolina is where we're located. You can find us on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram at PDY F Community Garden. Spell all one word, no spaces, just PDY F Community Garden. We are a part of a larger organization called Positive Direction for Youth and Family. They can be found at PDY and F, and the and is spelled out, and that's Facebook and Instagram as well. So.
All right. Well, thank you, brother, for that introduction, you all. As I said, I'm excited. Look at this big smile. How could you not be excited? Look at the grin on that. We love it, y'all. We love engaging with our community. We love impacting people's lives. And so I hope that you feel our energy and what we put into the work that we do. I hope that you all join in with those emojis and smiles and laughter. Well, let's jump right into it. Tell me, what led you to gardening and farming? What was that experience that said, I got to do this thing right now?
So the right now experience is a little bit different from the overall experience, okay? So the right now experience really happened in the classroom. And if you hear stuff going on, I got my kids out here and, you know, the volunteers just left, but they're having a good time. My son is playing with some water. It's a little chilly, but I'm gonna leave them alone, let them play. But I teach, I'm a science teacher in the public schools, and I deal with really an underprivileged population of students. It's a Title I school. And my earlier years of teaching, I always had to deal with students saying, well, you know, they were asking me, what did I eat for lunch? Or did I have snacks? You know, kids are always asking for snacks or something to eat. And I realized that many of my students actually were not eating when they got home. So that was my right now moment. And it just so happened to line up with perfect timing with PDY and F's desire to change the types of foods that we were giving out. So they had this idea, let's do a garden. I said, hey, I've got to do something. I don't know what it is. I can't buy food for everybody. Hey, Aaron, hold tight. Aaron, turn the water off for me for a second. Yeah. I said, I've got to do something. So those two came together and I said, well, I love gardening. I grew up around it. And that's kind of like the big picture, is that I watched my dad take instructions from his mother sitting under the tree while he was pushing a plow, different things. I saw him learn something that he had never done before. My dad's born and raised in Brooklyn, and he was tired of the city life, wanted to move his family down to the south, and he bought a piece of land that was adjacent to my grandma's. So she had a garden, and she sat down while he started working, and my brother and I would just be playing. We had chickens, and I just kind of fell in love with outside. So I fell in love with it. I saw him, you know, doing whatever she told him to do, and he loved it. And I remember, you know, waking up at the crack of dawn when everybody else should have been, you know, asleep, you know, picking peas and shucking corn and doing, you know, all of the different things that come along with the garden. So that's where I grew up. But then that growing up paired with seeing it in real life in the classroom really said, you know what, it's time to just go ahead and it's time to do something.
So if I'm hearing you right, your grandmother purchased some land, your dad moved across. Was she farming or gardening prior to getting that land? Do you know if she was doing that prior to that land?
Well, so yes and no. So my grandmother's parents were, if not slaves themselves, they were like direct descendants of. So my grandmother was actually born in the South. So she was around that as a young child, but she moved up north, right?
Okay.
She moved to New York. They got away. And, she got fed up with the city before my dad did. So she
Okay.
moved down south. Then my dad, wanting to be with his mom, moved down south and bought the land that was right behind hers. So she started gardening as soon as she got back down south.
And so do you know, or do you recall if she was gardening to provide food and they were to the family, they were eating directly from the land? Do you recall that?
That's exactly what they were doing. Because my grandmother, she hated buying I remember her saying the tomatoes from the store were mushy. She didn't like mushy tomatoes or whatever it was, but she was just buying food to prepare for the winter. So she learned, she knew how to can. She taught my mom and my dad how to can vegetables and, blanching broccoli and blanching some of those leafy vegetables. So I don't know where she learned all that stuff, but she transferred all that information down to like my dad and my mom, my mom's Panamanian, and they met in Brooklyn. So she didn't have those, same things, but she picked all that stuff up from my grandma. So that was cool.
And so your mother is Panamanian. Did she grow up in a farming industry?
So I just learned, I said my grandmother is 101. And I just went up to New York Valentine's Day to spend the day with her. And I sat and I just asked questions and all. So I learned just in February that she worked sugarcane. So like sugarcane was a big crop where she was. And so she told me how the neighbors, one neighbor was good at one thing and another neighbor was good at another. She would, they would grow it and they would take it to the one to put it into the tool to press it. And then the next one would, generate the sugar. She grew up. I don't know what else they cropped or whatever else they did, but I know sugarcane was one for sure. So I was excited to learn that because I want to see if I can grow it here in my zone, but we'll see.
Wow. Well, I have lots of sugar cane.
Wow.
So yeah, so if you want some, I'll ship some to you.
Absolutely.
But what I would encourage you to do is find out if she has any old seeds, find out if she has some stash somewhere, because can you imagine growing something and feeding your family from the very seeds that she brought here or that she grew? I would encourage you to do that. I wish I had that opportunity. Both of my grandparents are deceased. So I always tell people that I encourage you, find out if your grandparents, if they grew, they may have a stash of seeds and all you need is one seed to, germinate. You just need one thing to grow. That would be pretty exciting. Well, congratulations for that. That is huge. Congratulations. Like that is really what it's all about. What was the size of your first garden? Or I know you said the kids kind of talked about it initially.
Yes.
Program.
So what happened is my mother-in-law had some land. It was her and her husband had bought some land. It's actually it's a 10-acre plot that I'm sitting on. But she said that if we wanted to put a garden out here, we can use it and garden. And she knew what we wanted to do, which was just give the food to the community. So she agreed to let us use it. So I'm using about 2.5 acres in the back corner of the property to grow food. And it's all family. It's my mother-in-law, and she might as well be she's obviously my second mother, but she loves me. She trusts me with the land, and we've done, I think we've made her proud a little bit. So
that is wonderful to like you said, have the connection with your in-laws. Like that's just fantastic. I really do love hearing that. And so you're on 10 acres, but you're not farming the entire 10 acres.
No, I'm not. I'm not farming the whole 10. Primarily because I didn't have vision for the whole I didn't have vision for the whole 10. I knew that if I could use this back corner, it's already cleared. The ground has been dormant, so it's a lot of organic material. It's just, I figured I could do something right here and maximize this space. And if we grow to where I can't stay here anymore, we'll just take another little corner, take another little section.
Yeah, and the reason I asked that is because I want our listeners and our viewers to understand you can have a lot of land, but if you do it in steps, or especially if you don't have a farming background, like if you came and you grew up as a kid around farming and you know the ropes, by all means, you may be able to jump in 10 acres with no challenge, but you slowly do it piece by piece. Just because you have 10 acres doesn't necessarily mean you need to farm and grow 10 acres. And absolutely, you mentioned having the vision. So also your vision could change. Like this first acre, the vision could be this, and then down the line, the vision could totally change. And so you just take it step by step so that you're not getting overwhelmed. And then you also let, your community members and families play different roles in that growing process. Tell us a little bit about, because again, I want our viewers to understand, just because you have a whole lot of land doesn't mean you necessarily need to farm it all or grow it all. Tell us what your thought was when you say, okay, I'm just going to do this area here. This is sufficient. Can you speak to that so we can get people to understand?
So it was all a faith walk, truth be told. I did not know what the community response was going to be. We didn't have a huge budget. So not that I don't believe God for the entire 10 acres, but I believed that God could give me everything that I needed to take care of what I saw, because that's what he showed me. So I didn't want to go any bigger than what he showed me. So what I did was I literally, we started out with 6 raised beds. Well, 6.5, we'll call it 6.5 raised beds. And obviously that is just a very small portion of the land. But I said, if I can get something growing, I can just start and go from there. So we've grown significantly, and I'll show you guys around, to kind of see what it looks like now. But yeah, it was just being faithful over little. We didn't have water. We didn't have electricity, and I'm still working on some of those things. Like we just, I tell people one of the biggest mistakes I ever made was not focusing on the water first. We, or the water and the soil really, but I would take a big trash bin and fill it up in my house, which is on the other side of town, and put it on my trailer and drive it over to my garden to water the plants that we had in our beds. So we were just jumping through a lot of hoops trying to keep things watered. Graciously, God helped us wherever we fell short, and we grew. But I can say now our budget is much larger than it was when we first got started. We successfully raised over $80,000 last year for my project. I say my project just because it's like my baby. I don't think that this is my only thing, but it's just my baby. But we built a greenhouse that's still being built. We have power now that's about to be, connected. A well was dug. I think I may have said that, but I'm extremely excited about the fact that we can use well water as soon as my power is connected. But yeah, it was really just a matter of being faithful over the little bit that I had. I said, all right, I can grow if I've got some ground, some dirt, and some seeds, and I'm gonna do that as well as I can. And it's grown from there.
Well, to your point, biting off a little bit at a time and then letting the vision develop because I think that my project kind of started the same way too. It was just a little bit at a time. I wasn't quite sure about the direction what it was going, but I think when we talk about faith, if you start taking a little bit steps at a time, then you land in the area that you're supposed to, because faith is actually working, and you've got to do something if you actually believe. And
Right.
so I commend you for that, but I also want people to understand that it does take planning. And then you talked about having to go from one side of town to the other to get water. So oftentimes when people are building gardens or community gardens or farms, they don't think about the water source. They don't think about all the obstacles and hurdles. I think if you're doing it on a volunteer basis, you really have to do what's convenient. Otherwise, you find excuses to not to do it. When it becomes challenging, it becomes a burden, and it becomes heavier to do the work if it's not convenient. So water source, and would you say that when you're growing or you're starting your garden, talking to other people that have already done this work can really help you avoid a lot of obstacles, in my opinion, if you sit and talk to someone. And I think most people that are gardening or doing community gardens, they're really willing to help you and answer any questions that you may have.
Yeah, that's so true. I always say, or I'll tell you this, I met with a local foundation here, and I started building a very decent relationship with them. And they told me one time, to always be open to information, but never change your vision. Right? He said, my vision, what I wanted to do was extremely clear. And he said, people are going to come to you with ideas, and then they're going to come to you with how they think things should go. Listen, but don't change your vision. And it's okay to say, no, this isn't necessarily the vision that, it doesn't line up with exactly what I want to do. And I said that because, we actually, the organization felt that they needed to, or before I even came into the picture, they had hired they had hired some help, and I didn't really see eye to eye with the help. Long story short, they're not the help anymore, but it showed me as soon as even we were no longer with him, and if not even before, God puts people in your path that know, like I have a classically trained horticulturist that found us on Instagram and said, I love what y'all are doing. And she comes out every single week. She's part of my committee, if you want to call it that. She, and she's just amazing. She has a beautiful heart for the children. I mean, she loves gardening. If I ever have, a question about, okay, so how do I plant? Do I plant with the eyes pointing up or pointing down? She knows all of this stuff, and she found us. So then another thing, this might just be a word of encouragement. You'd be surprised how much you already know.
Yeah.
Right? You would be surprised. I tell people all the time, hey guys, my kids are over here playing swords with the sticks. They're having a good time. Y'all move away from the greenhouse with that, please. I don't want y'all getting splinters. But yeah, you'd be surprised how much you already know. So many people come out to the garden like, I've never done this before. And I say, great. You know what? None of us have ever done this before. And they come out, they get dirty, they get their hands in, and they're like, man, I feel like I've been doing this my whole life. And we know genetically some stuff has probably been passed on. A lot of my volunteers are African American. I do have a very large, white and Muslim, and I mean, we have a very diverse group of volunteers, but so many of us feel like we've been here forever. And they're like, man, I could do this. And this is what I want. I want to spark somebody saying, you know what, I could do this. You mean I could just put one bed? Yeah, just start with one bed, plant a couple seeds, see what happens. Play in the dirt a little bit. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yes, absolutely. No, I agree with you. You do know more than you think you do oftentimes. I said that to a garden client yesterday that I was coaching. I'm like, you know more than you think you do. Give yourself more credit. But the other thing is not only do we oftentimes we know more, but I like to say, if you know how to grow a healthy human, then you probably can grow healthy vegetables, because it's no different.
Right.
Your children tell you when they need to get their diaper changed, when they can't speak. You know somebody's sick by just looking and making an observation. When you're dehydrated, you have all kind of other problems. The number of people that go to the emergency room only to find out they're dehydrated, like plants are the same way. So I think if we relate our plants to life, then you oftentimes find out you are actually a good grower. You can grow just about anything.
Absolutely.
So we want to go ahead. I know y'all came here for the tour. Let's pop on this tour. We are again in Greensboro, North Carolina, and I'm excited as always to see what my man James has in his community farm. If you all have any questions, like I said, please like, share, comment. You'll ask me the questions as he's showing his spot, and I will feed the questions to James, and he'll answer them for us. Please, if you're watching right now, hit that like button, drop us an emoji. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Like I said, it helps our content get in front of more people. How often have you heard somebody said, you'll see something on your timeline that actually happened yesterday? You're like, why didn't that drop on my feed? Why am I just now seeing that? Well, it's a numbers game. If the numbers aren't right, Facebook is not going to put it in front of you. So thank you so much for that. We appreciate it. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over. And my man James is going to go ahead and show us his community farm, and it's PDY F Community Garden.
There you go. All right. So I'm gonna back up a little bit. And this is kind of the space. Those are my kids playing around. We just planted today. I have my volunteers out, and they planted potatoes right in these rows here.
Where do you get your compost or your soil from?
So I actually, there's a source that I have that's local called the mulch yard, and I purchased dirt, and I'll show you the beds that are over on this side here. I purchased that dirt from them, but I have since then been getting my compost from the city, and the city's compost is maybe 2 miles away from where we're located. So they actually will bring it and drop it here for us. So that's been a blessing, because we haven't had to pay for dirt. But it's good stuff. At the end of the year, last year, they gave us aged like leaf mulch. So you can kind of see that even in here. Yeah, so we were able to cover all the beds, cover all of the rows with that leaf mulch over the winter. So that was great. So there's nothing here yet. Last year we had watermelon, and I partnered with a daycare that's across the street, and they planted all of the watermelon like in one row. I wasn't here for it, and this whole area was covered. But I'm gonna designate an area. You can kind of see where, or maybe you can't. I'll walk over there. This area here, we've kind of started pulling the sod from it, and we'll designate an area that we're gonna add some compost to, and plant watermelon over there. But this area here where I'm standing is gonna end up being peppers, and I think I'll put a few of my zucchini squash over there on the other side. But this is like
James, before you start there, we have a viewer that's here in Houston, and she's saying, Jean is saying the same thing I say. Wow, free compost. Our city, not that we're aware of, has a free compost program. And you're not the only person that's been on our show that says their city provides free compost. Our city, that I'm not aware of it, and I think Jean isn't aware of it because she said wow. But that to offset those costs is a game changer for so many community gardens, because it's an expense that you don't have to have.
Absolutely.
Was the hay donated as well?
No, the hay trying to remember where I got that hanging from.
You purchased it?
No. I didn't purchase it, actually. That was in kind. One of the volunteers had access to like 4 bales of hay and just said they wanted to bring it to us. So
Wow.
we used that in between there. So this is actually where we started, not the rows here in the middle, but when I told you I had 6 beds, right? And these are those 6 beds. We filled it with some dirt that was recommended to us by someone who I'm not sure, but I didn't know where to get dirt from. And when we first started, nothing grew, absolutely nothing. It looked just like this here. I put seedlings in there. I put seeds. I tried a little bit of everything. Nothing happened. And, you know, we learned, but we never went back to that source. And once I found the place that I was buying it from, we amended the soil. We added the compost. We covered it with the leaf mulch. And then we came back and planted peppers over here in these beds, and they did extremely well. So it was one of those things where we learned or we failed real hard. We put a lot of time into it and everything, but nothing happened. But we learned some valuable lessons there. But now we are, I think in the middle of the year last year, we built these longer rows here, and I've got my collard seedlings in there. I think those are collards. Yeah, Georgia collards. They're planted in here. We had some strawberries here. They were running so crazy. We moved them out to spread them out into this bed here, and we'll probably put some netting over this.
Will your Georgia collards, will they grow throughout the summer for you there?
So they will, probably until June. Yeah, we'll probably get them till probably the beginning, maybe middle of June. But they usually start bolting right around that time. Or at least that's what they did last year. They do really, really well for about a month and a half. And then it's too hot. Then it's too hot for them. So that's cool. So this section over here where we'll go, this is brand new. We just built this about 3 weeks ago. And this is all dirt from the city, or that compost from the city. And then we were just granted a tower garden. This garden tower, our name was drawn and we were granted this. So we actually moved strawberries into this. So I'm excited to see how that is going to work out.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. We were pretty excited about it. So
yeah, I'm interested. Yeah, I want to keep updated with that because I'm interested in getting one for the Let Us Live community farm. I'm interested. So keep me up to date on how successful.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we filled that up with compost and topsoil. This is one of my favorite things. This is my compost bin, my AeroBin composter. I know y'all probably seen these all over Instagram.
I haven't.
You've never seen one of these? Okay, so, can you see it in there real good?
Yes.
Right. So my volunteers bring their compostable stuff. It goes into this AeroBin. There's a lung, you can't really see it, that shoots through the middle of it that allows like air to pass through to keep it going. So what I wanted to do was really just create my own. I'm gonna open this real quick. So
wow,
that's the byproduct. So this is all my wiggly worms and stuff in there.
Wow, amazing. Yeah.
So I wanted to create my own compost. I just, I'm addicted to ideas. I said, if somebody has an idea, if they want to do something, let's I try it out. So the other part, let's see I can walk over there in a second. But this is my greenhouse. This is where this is kind of what sets our project apart, what kind of really gets people excited about it. Because I want to practice aquaponics in here. And I don't have my tanks and stuff set up yet, but that's where the fish will live. And we'll have a table there that supplies the nutrients to the plants. Right now, we just kind of use the space to grow our little seedlings and things and hold on to little stuff. This grow
So
bag, I think that's a pumpkin in there. Go ahead.
question, did you build your greenhouse? Was that a kit that somebody came out and put it together?
Yeah, so we bought it, and we bought it from, forgive me for not remembering,
You don't
but either
have,
way.
if you pay for it and they didn't donate it, you don't have to say who you got it.
Yeah. But there was a group of men that heard about an event that we were doing, and they're called F3, and they're actually nationwide. But it's a men's group centered around faith, fellowship, and fitness. And these guys heard that we were having this big service event, and they said, "Well, hey, we can come and help put the greenhouse together." And I said, "Well, sure," because I didn't really know how I was going to do it. So they came and they put the stuff in. They basically built everything for us. So I was excited about that. It is not complete. Like, we still got loose ends and stuff just because we are waiting for the electricity. So it's like dual layered, so that there's like a fan that goes in the inside and
What size
keeps it
is
like
it?
insulated. 16 by 24.
Wow.
16 by
Yes,
24.
Jean says she and I are jealous. Yes, you're speaking to me and you're right. I am jealous.
Oh man, no, everybody's is still in the store. You just gotta go pick it up. It's there for you, I promise.
Okay.
No, so that's my power. The power is now just run. Last week, I think they trenched that so that it can supply power to my well, which is right over there. And then that's my car. And then the last little bit, I took some pallets and put them together right here to try and build a raised bed. It's a little bit taller than what I thought, but I'm gonna fill that up with some dirt and plant some herbs in there somewhere.
Or it
But that
could
was
be a
just,
compost bin.
it could also be a compost bin. I love composting. I really do. I didn't show you that. It's all the way at the tree line there, but I've got one of those cold composters. You just dump everything in there. But yeah, this is the last little section. We built these little trellis systems just let's see, I think around January. Can you see that? Yep. All right. So we have some peas down here in the bottom. We've got a little lettuce mix in between all of this garlic that we planted back in October. But that's my little salad mix there. There's peas in there that'll run up this trellis. Same thing here. And we just today, we've been putting together this drip irrigation. So it's crazy that we went from having to bring water from the house to now we can actually set up a drip irrigation system that will do it for us on a timer.
So currently you don't have a drip irrigation. You all are still bringing water in?
No. So right now we actually are connected to the main at the city. So where we are is at the back corner of the property, and the city has a water main that goes down the main street, and our city councilwoman connected water for us for free. So she gave us a connection. So we, again, that was another one of those things. We were just kind of fortunate to have people in the community that believe in what we're doing, and they they get behind us. But this is just more garlic we planted back in October. I've got some lettuce growing in between those and here, and that's essentially it. That's my garden space. It's kind of
so
big.
you use the mulch to kind of maintain the grass. Did y'all do like clear that with sod and then you put mulch on top of that?
Yeah, well, let me see. Over here, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna say this hesitantly, but there's plastic under this mulch that you see. Now, that was advised to us a while before. I hated plastic, so I went and ripped up as much of it as I could. I hate plastic. There's no plastic under the beds, though. I've cut all of that out. Right. But there's plastic under here, so you can see, the grass is growing up in here. We've got some cleaning up to do, in terms of that. But yeah, there is plastic in between the mulch and the ground right here. But that was the last of the plastic the rest, I said I'm never using plastic again.
Yeah, well, let me say, it looks great. I'm impressed. I like how you've kind of put it off into sections, and you've got some in-ground growing, which is really impressive. And you have some raised beds. And the reason I mentioned that is because I want folks to know you don't have to you don't have to do one or the other. It could be this and that. If you decide you want to do both raised beds, I think primarily when you start, would you not agree? When you start growing your garden, you really need to put community. Who are you doing this for? And then once you decide and figure out who you're doing it for, then you can make a decision on what's the best way. I was consulting with a client last week, and they had raised beds, but they're low to the ground like yours, the same way mine's is. But they're with seniors. There are a lot of senior people in their community that want to garden, but as you can imagine, that's pretty low for somebody elderly to stoop down. And so that is really why you need to take who are you serving in mind. Like you said, get your mission, stick to your mission, listen to other folks, but take your mission seriously. So then you will understand, do I need to build my boxes a little bit higher, or is this in-ground box or the in-ground bed's going to be okay? Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, I certainly agree with that. And I do have, I've got a younger group here that helps out, but that's another reason why this greenhouse project is so important to me, because now, I can have anybody come and help out in there. Even if, they just say, hey, I just want to feed the fish a couple times, they can come and feed the fish. Yes. So everything will be waist level inside the greenhouse. And then, there's room for some of these beds for us to build up, and we probably will at some point. This year we added compost to just about all of the beds to kind of get ready for this next growing season. So yeah, it's, and that's another reason I like this tower garden. I plan on buying a couple more because, I like the fact that everybody can access it, standing up without bending down. So you got to know your audience. You got to know your audience.
Got to know your audience, know who you're serving. So Jean says that she has a recipe for killing weeds rather than using Roundup. Use a half a gallon of 30% vinegar and 1 part Epsom salt, 1 part dish soap. Yes, that's the recipe I use. It works. You just get it directly. Like if you have a weed, you don't have to spray all the leaves up there. Just get it directly in the center where the root is, or even spray close to where that root is, and it'll burn it out and kill it.
Gotcha.
So
yeah, I am anti Roundup. I don't fool.
Yeah, don't fool. Please don't fool around up, y'all. Don't fool around up. So tell me, as we wrap this up, what type of impact do you think this community farm has had on your family and then on your community?
So family-wise, it's been amazing. Normally all 7, I've got 7, right? Well, I don't have 7 children, but my wife and I have 5 children. And my daughter loves, and she's the youngest, she loves coming out here. My boys love being out here once they get out here. Usually they want to stay and play video games or play basketball or whatever. But once they get out here, they're always having a good time. So it has been great. But I'm really excited because they get to see my heart. I really, really love people, and not in the cliche kind of way, but I really want to serve people. So they're able to see us impact the community, because everything we grow here, we give out everything. So they see, and then they get to get in the car with me today, and we can go to Whole Foods and purchase our own food. So, it's a privilege. I just let them know, everybody's not able to do that, but they now have the tools to grow it themselves. So in terms of impacting the community, it's been amazing. Last year, I think we fed 1,600 meals out of the garden. And this year, my space has increased significantly, the part that we're farming. So we'll easily double what we did last year, especially learning from the mistakes that we made. So, the community is definitely going to be impacted significantly in terms of how much food they're going to be getting and how much good food, right? We're trying to provide healthier options versus the canned goods and things of that nature.
Right. Yes. I think that is really what it's about, is providing your community with access to fresh food so it can impact their health long term.
Right.
I think if you have any sort of chronic disease, you really can't afford not to be growing your own food. Growing your own food is going to be the game changer. So hats off to you for that. And I'm glad you, like you said, is you getting your family involved, getting the community involved, and having a heart for the people around you, realizing, yes, I can go to the grocery store and buy what I want. Some other people don't have that luxury and don't have access to do that. So hats off to you, kudos. And we have two more questions. Well, the next question is, if you could go anywhere in the world and visit any garden, any farm, any type of green space, where in the world would you love to travel?
So I would love to travel to Panama for obvious reasons.
Right.
Knowing that my grandmother, knowing that she farmed there and she, raised sugarcane, I really want to see what it was like where she grew up and how their neighbors, and they might not, the same neighbors may not be there, but knowing the type of community that she came from, I'd love to see it. That's one of my, and it is on the list of places to go. And hopefully this year we'll be able to do that. But
man, I am rooting for you to make that happen. Hey, one of a sponsor, somebody, you all give James a all expense paid ticket for his family of 7 to Panama, so he can make that connection with his grandmother and his family. That's awesome. I'm rooting for you, and I hope that happens for you soon. That'd be wonderful.
Thank you for watching. If you found this episode inspiring, please tell others about the Let Us Live Edible Garden series. For more inspiring stories and garden tips, visit letuslive.org, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on Instagram and Facebook. I'll see you live from the garden, and remember, lettuce lets us live.